Good morning. Oh my God, I say that so loud. I'm getting feedback. How sad is that? Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. Happy Thursday. This is the Badass Buddha. And who am I with today? Who's my co-host? Who's my fabulous co-host?
You're with Queen La Margarita.
There you go. There you go. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube, and good morning, Clubhouse. We're happy that you are here, and we are hoping for no tech issues today. So, we're going to throw that out to the universe, and because we have such a great conversation that we're going to have today, we're very excited about this. So, who are we? Oh my goodness. You really need to get to know us. For those of you that are new to the show, you can click on all our stuff and get to know us because we are fabulous. We are reinas, right? We're queens, but we are just absolutely fabulous. And so I'll speak first, I guess, right? So one of these days we'll flip it and Gladiator Guru will do the introduction start. She always makes me do it though. She's like, you do it. So I am the Badass Buddha. My name is Lori Monaco. I am a teacher, speaker, coach. I specialize in narcissistic, toxic relationships, narcissistic abuse syndrome, and PTSD, CPTSD, and depression. I'm also a mindfulness teacher. I am an author, and I am a badass speaker. I will say that. And I guess I'm a chiropractor as well. And hello, good morning.
Good morning, buenos dias. There's like a back echo, right?
I don't hear it, and but I can mute mine. Maybe that.
I don't know. Buenos dias, mi gente, aquí con la Margarita. I am the queen of my castle, and I am home in Tampa. And it's hard because wherever I go, I feel like home, but then I'm always missing here. So I come in last night and I say hello to everything and I water my plants and I slept in my bed and it's all good. And then I'll be gone soon again. So who am I? Yo soy la Margarita, la gitana, del espíritu, el fuego del alma, la guerrera. I am. What do I specialize in? I specialize in coffee. I specialize in café con leche. I specialize in giving you the biggest orgasm you've ever had when you come over and I prepare you your taza de café con leche. That's how amazing it is. And that's what I specialize in. I am a sacred healer, spiritual coach. I'm an end-of-life doula. I am a Latina business owner, coffee roaster of Naturally Orgasmic Cafe Company coming soon. I am a wedding officiant. I am a storyteller. I am a poet. And I am a lover of love. That's what I am. I'm love. I am love. And that's it. Buenos dias. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I know. I saw it. I muted
sorry.
it. So, did that help at all? Were you still hearing feedback?
Yeah, it was probably me. I just probably yelled it and my phone was next to it.
Okay.
And, I say that. I said it like that, badass and the people watching, because we are so much more than we can put into words. We are so much more than we believe we are. We are so much more than other people see. And I left that one for last because you know what? People don't have to see and know who you are. You have to know who you are and what you like and what is this and what you don't like and your boundaries and all of this. Figure that out. The rest can fall into line, the conga line, and you're leading it, or they can get tired and sit their ass down. But who are you? Because every day if you notice, when the Badass Buddha and I explained that, we either switch it around, like we're calling a lottery ticket number from a basket, or on some days we're adding something different because we left it like we put baby in the corner for all the other weeks when we were describing who we were. And then we wake up and we're like, pero yo soy una mujer completa, soy estrambólica, soy maravillosa.
Exactly. That's exactly what I would have said.
Right? So, so then we remember, and
One
that's
of
how
these days I'm going to blow your mind and I'm going to all of a sudden just start speaking Spanish to you. I'm going to surprise you.
that would be very orgasmic. And so for everyone on here, buenos dias, good morning, namaste, and welcome. And remember that, you know what? And sometimes you could be throughout your day and you remember something about, you know, every phone has that little note section. Put it in there. Today I am. And then compile a little list, because we are so many things and yet we define ourselves into that little box of what's accepting. And be who you are. Be who you are. When I was in Spain, they would call me La Morena Guapa. And I didn't know. At first, I was like, but I'm not dark skin. I'm not. And it was because I have black hair. So they call me La Morena Guapa, which means the pretty brunette. So I wrote something about it. And I talk about how I am that soul of the gypsy. You know, I am that warrior. I am that fire. And so we got to use those adjectives, because sometimes they could just be fun. Like waking up today saying, let's put our crowns on.
Yes.
For many reasons. We both put it on for different reasons, and both of them are good. And then I want the badass Buddha to tell you why, because it is very important. Kathy, you don't speak Spanish? Me. My mother didn't teach us Italian because she wanted to learn Spanish, so we grew up on Spanglish. And she was a Sautee sailor, so that's how I speak. I'm trilingual, English, Spanish, and profanity. So, and I speak them all well. And then sometimes, if you catch me on a good day, I can speak them all at the same time. So I'm wearing my crown because I came home to my castle. I was gone for almost a month. I'm home in my castle. I wanted for my spirit to get up and dance and explore every corner of my home again and be thankful. Oh, okay, hold on. My screen went blank, and I was like,
we
no.
see you though. We see you.
Okay, so, and that's why I said, you know what? I am going to be la Margarita, mujer completa, reina, la reina del fuego. And so I said, I'm wearing my crown today because I value me. And you, badass Buddha?
Because you said you were going to wear your crown. That's why I'm wearing my crown.
What's going on for you today?
Well, I'm also wearing my crown in honor of the fact that I'm a guest tonight on A Usta Tu Corona with Lillian Maldonado, her show, which I'm very honored to be a guest on at 7 p.m. on Facebook. So if you are not already connected to A Usta Tu Corona, definitely do so, because it's a phenomenal women's empowerment organization, and they're putting together a really incredible October blowout, and I'm so excited about going myself. So and it's going to be in Florida, but I'm ready to go. So this is very cool. I can't wait till, like, I think the date's finalized, but so I have to get my plane ticket and things like that. But so I'm wearing that. But it was, though, you like kind of said I was going to wear this, and I'm thinking that'd be kind of fun, which stemmed a conversation yesterday, and we're still putting this together, but we're going to do, for the month of April, we're going to do a theme month. We are going to pick out days, like certain days we're going to be certain costumes, and we're going to wear them. It could be like a crown, it could be like something on our face, it could be something simple, or it could be like a whole costume or theme. And we're going to encourage you to do the same. And since we can't see you, we're going to ask that you take a picture of yourself dressed that way and then send it to us. And then we're going to post it on the Viva page. We want to have some fun with all of you, because sometimes it is fun to just be somebody different, right? There you go. Those are the Julie Jones glasses. So, So we want to have some fun doing that. What was the other thing that we said that we wanted to do? Oh, it was we want to have start setting up stars battles with you. Like we were finally understanding, what was it, Connie, your sister Connie, that explained it all to you?
Yes.
So her sister Connie explained it all to us, and so we want to have our battles. We want to do these star battles and just see what fun we can have with that. So yeah.
Yes, we're learning about it, right? We're still learning about the time limit. So if anybody is familiar with the stars, and of course, let me know. And
Yeah.
Kathy, it's it's okay. Like there was this big thing about if you're Latina and you don't speak Spanish, then you're not Latina, and I think that's bullshit. I think that
Desiree wrote. We missed you, Desiree. We missed
that's right. That's a
you.
good one. See, and
How
that's what
are
we
you?
need. That's what we need. And so I think, you know what? If you desire to learn Spanish, whatever your background, then I'm always rooting for you. Great idea. Connie is so cool. Isn't she though? I don't even know if she's on, but she is. And she's so cool. And she just came out telling me a whole bunch of other stuff that we gotta have to call her. And I just think like Lori wants to learn Spanish, and you're never too old. My father understood English, but he's like, why am I going to talk English when all of you speak Spanish? And so it's just a desire. It's like a desire to finally learn how to eat right. It's a
There's
desire.
Connie. Connie just logged in. She must have
Hi,
known we were talking about her.
we're just
Hi,
talking
Connie.
about you. So yeah, so I would sit my kids for an hour a day when they were small. They hated me. If they could have ran away from home and adopted another mother, they would have, because we only spoke Spanish. We only spoke Spanish for an hour every day, and they hated it. And now they're fluent, and now they can go anywhere and speak to anybody. And they're gonna mess up because they're Spanglish speakers, but they can do that. So come on, let's. I'm sorry, we're gonna go on and so badass. So that's what it is. That's what the crown is. But you know what? Every day, my ladies out there and gentlemen, because I would love for a man to send me a picture with his crown on, because you know what? What the hell? Celebrate yourselves. And why we put this on today? Because we're also celebrating ourselves. We're heading into the weekend. There's more interaction with people, with our families, with our kids. Me, I have tons of shit to do. So celebrate this morning, this calm, and say, you know what? I am thebomb.com.
Thebomb.com.
I am going to put all my fancy jewels on, and I'm going to say, you know what? Off with your head. Because I have that power, right? So let's just remember who we are in every moment of our day, and be kind. And with that, we're going to do a special shout out.
Yes. So tribe member, most of you know Michelle Houston. And if you follow Michelle, which I hope you do, we hope all of you tribe members like connect with each other, because this is really important, because we're such a great tribe. Michelle, that Michelle has her dog, Jeffrey, who's won so many awards for being an amazing pit bull. He's a a therapy dog and all this. Anyway, he's not doing well. He's been ill. The blood work she didn't say exactly what's going on with him, but it doesn't look good. He did have a good day yesterday. And, she posted something in her Instagram and Facebook about how, they're praying for a miracle. So it doesn't sound good, but she said he did have a great day, and they're loving this. So when you get a moment, just reach out to her. She's getting an amazing amount of feedback, which is great. I have never seen that many comments on somebody's feed, but Jeffrey has a good following. Jeffrey's got thousands and thousands of followers. So definitely reach out to her and let her know that you're thinking about her, and that you're sending prayers out to Jeffrey, because he's such a great dog, and it's her baby. It's literally like her child. So she's really going through a rough time and still showing up for work and doing her thing. So, Michelle, if you're listening, we love you. We're sending you love. We're sending Jeffrey love, and we're hoping that Jeffrey will be fine, and ready to go, just be back to his old self. And yes, Carolyn, we see you in the background. Carolyn, it was the wrong link, I guess. I don't know. I don't usually put the wrong link on there, but we're glad that you're here. So we're going to bring you up in a few minutes. We started a little bit late today, and we still need to do our mantra, and we still need to set our intention. But let's quickly do some shout outs, right? So Kathy Ruiz, good morning. We already said Tiffany Bryan in the house, Milagros, Medina, Melissa Hernandez Moren. Let's see who else we have. We have Desiree, Jay Davidson, Erika Bolahala. Who else do we have? We've got, I know we had a few other Irizas in there. We have Connie, good morning. And Moyeto came on as well.
So I got my brother and my sister and my cousin.
Yep.
Look at Iris beat me to it. Hello, my cousins.
And don't forget to share, don't forget to share and let everybody know that we're on so that we can get more views. That's the way we work. That's the way we support each other. We have today's conversation is going to be really interesting because we're going to be talking about what's your education. And there's a reason behind this conversation. So we definitely want people to come on. And let's see what Desiree says. Let me just say, most people who know me know I have mental health concerns. If I put a crown on my head and walk around, my family and friends are going to think I'm having a manic episode and start talking about me. Good. Let's give them something to talk about. How about that? Just be that way. Desiree, seriously. Just be like, yeah, and what? What you going to say? That's right. That's all you got to say. Okay, let's set our intention and let's do our mantra, and then we will bring our guest on, our fabulous guest. Okay, so
Jonathan!
Oh, Jonathan's in the house. Hooray. We've missed you, Jonathan. Okay, so let's set our intention. So our intention, as always, our intention is to be intentional. Be intentional about your day. Set an intention, whatever it needs to be for today. So to be intentional and
grateful. There we go. Live in gratitude.
Live in gratitude. That is correct. That is correct. Okay, so here we go. We're going to do the mantra, but I got to stop this camera just for a second. But I'm going to be talking. Don't worry. So everybody get ready to shout it out. Close your eyes if you're not driving. If you're driving, please don't close your eyes. Get ready. Here we go. I want to hear you in the background. I'm going to listen really good. I want to hear you say it after me. Okay, here we go. I am a disruptor.
I am a disruptor.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am magically orgasmic.
Ole.
And I am beyond authentic.
And I keep it as real as I am.
So I got up for a reason, and I needed to shut this off for a second because usually I'm so good with this. So, and I am not. See, this is what happens. Sometimes you're just not prepared properly. So we're going to bring here we go. I got that. So we're going to bring our fabulous guest on, and good morning. Who else jumped on? Chenille Real Deal is in the house. Jonathan Pookie Cruz. Like we said, we're happy that you're here. Ruthie Wright, my niece, is here. So happy to have you here. So we're going to bring Carolyn Choate on, and because I cannot find her bio because she did give it to us and I can't seem to find the paperwork. I wasn't prepared. We're going to have Carolyn introduce herself. So here we go. There she is. Hey! Love it.
I couldn't find. My daughter has a really nice one that Nana gave her, but I couldn't find it, so I ran and grabbed this.
I love it.
Perfect. Wonderful. All right, Carolyn, introduce yourself to the tribe.
Oh, it's so great to see you. What a crazy morning we're having. All sorts of issues, which is like, that's life. It happens. Yep. So I'm Carolyn Choate, and I do digital marketing. But I started my life as a creative writer, and I have a degree in poetry. So it's been a interesting journey through my life. And I spent a lot of my life feeling really down on myself, like I don't have any talents, I'm not good at anything, and frustrated that I couldn't just sit and do a job for 40 years. Like I have an aunt who like processes insurance paperwork year after year after year. And I'm like, what kind of brat am I that I can't do that?
Who'd want to? Let her do it.
Yeah. So,
her.
eventually I discovered that entrepreneurship was a thing. And I was like, oh, that's what my soul was built for.
That's fabulous. So in your business, and you know what I meant to say to you while you were in your in the green room, when you get a moment, just if you have any links to connect, I might be able to see if I could find some too, but while you're speaking, but put it in the private chat and then we'll put it up so people can we'll put it in the comments and people can directly connect with you. So what is your business specifically? Like, what do you help people do?
So I love sales funnels, but I find that a lot of people are a little bit wary of that word because it's like such a buzzword and people hear it and they associate it with like the guys in backward baseball caps jumping around the stage shouting at you. And so I'm kind of trying to be the antithesis of that. Like, you don't have to treat your audience that way. You can still have a sales funnel, because a sales funnel is really just a customer journey. It's like you're laying a path, you're putting down the cobblestones of how do people meet you, and they're just a stranger, they have no idea who you are, and then you're creating this path that guides them into your world, helps them get to know you, make a decision about whether you're the right person to help them. It's all about connecting people. And so when I discovered that marketing is about connecting people and not like trying to trick them into buying things, that's when I really fell in love with it.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
Level like done for you. I go over your marketing strategy. I make sure that how you're bringing people into your world makes sense with the offers that you're going to give them later, that the messaging on the website looks good, that all the pieces are connected. So it's just like, you do what you're good at. Let me do the sales funnel.
That's good, because a lot of sales funnels, I'm glad you said that, because a lot of sales funnels do trick you. They'll start off with, and I get it. I understand the marketing technique. They'll say this is free, and then you click on it, and it is, and they give you something, and that's fine, because I do the same thing. But then they lead you down the path that they want you to go to, and then all of a sudden it's like they're bombarding you with register here, do this, do that. I'm not that type of person. Like it's like I'll offer and say, this is what I got. If you want to bump up, this is the next level. But I love that you allow people to create their let their personality come through in the marketing, because I don't like leaving people with an icky, like, oh God, like this lady's so annoying. Like, I'm looking for authors for this compilation book that we're putting together. And I'm even afraid to sometimes reach out to some of these women who showed an interest, because I feel like I'm being a pain in the ass. And it's like, but you did show an interest. So I'm just checking in, because we're like closing in on the date to where we're not going to allow any more offers in,
service.
So it's like, and if they knew me better, I almost feel like making a video and go, listen, I'm trying not to be a pain in the ass, but here's the deal. So, so that's great. And so today's conversation is so here's what we do with our guests. We have a list of things that we talk about, and then we read it off to the guests, and they decide like what resonates with them. And so one of the topic that resonated with you was, what's your education? And so what we wanted to do was talk about the fact that what makes people specialists and experts. I don't even like using that term sometimes, because nobody's really an expert in anything, but a specialist, like specializing. What is valuable? Is it the education of the person? And if it is education, what are we defining as education? So that's the conversation today. So how would we like to start this? Would Gladiator Guru, Professor Gladiator Guru, would you like to explain to the tribe what now it's cut off a little bit because there's so many of us on, but what is your designation? You are professor of
the School of Hard Knocks, Real Life Views, Real Life Vision. So I am professor of life, You know, everybody throws the alphabet after their last name and it's supposed to make them more important.
I got an
My
alphabet.
education.
Are you saying I'm not important?
No. No. I'm sorry if you're sensitive. I think, you know, my education on life that's led me down my path to being the woman and the human that I am is the School of Hard Knocks. It's being present in real life on reels. And that went towards the education. I mean, text and theory is phenomenal, but hands-on is what makes the world go round. So that's what my thing. And it was supposed to be a joke, and the badass Buddha didn't participate. So I'll talk to her about that later. Sherry and Caroline.
Do you know? But did you know? Listen, did you know what PhD stands for?
Pretty hot.
PhD stands for piled higher and deeper, and MS stands for more shit. That's what it's. And then I'm going to get a lot of nasty comments about I paid a lot of money. I paid a lot of money for my degree too. But you have to have fun with it. I used to laugh, like, you know, in my profession and in other professional professions, not only do they have the letter designation of the profession, but then they have these commas with all these extra trainings that they do. And I get that, you know, honor yourself for those trainings. But does that make them, you know, better than the next person? Well, maybe, but there's so many other training out there that you don't have letters for. That's why I love what you put, because Gladiator Guru, because your training is on life. So go ahead, Carolyn. I cut you off.
I paid not dollars, but I paid a lot of tears, a lot of blood, a lot of sorrow.
I paid a lot of dollars too, though.
So
yeah, same. I mean, I have a master's degree.
But look at
what is that doing me now?
But the honoring one another and the respect of how we achieved the sabiduría, the wisdom, and all of that to be where we are today and still have a commonality that we are celebrating one another as women and as heroes that battled beautifully, whatever season of our life. And that's what it's all about. Because if you still
reminds me,
label, then who are you?
I had a conversation with my husband yesterday about, I've always felt that, at least in my world, you know, my family and everyone were pretty intellectual, very stuck in our minds. And I think that we fall into the trap of thinking that a human being's worth is in how intelligent they are or how much they know, how much they've learned. And it's just, like you said, it's complete bullshit. It is a human being, their soul is already perfect, already divine. Like, it does not need to be a certain way. You know, your IQ doesn't make you more worthy. None of that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. You know, because the people in the back who always walk with their head bowed down because they didn't have the education or they don't have the money, it's something that bothers with them. So it takes somebody. And that's where the alphabet comes in handy. When you can put a hand out to somebody who doesn't share the same.
And I can say a lot of it was just luck for me. I was born into a family that had the money to send me to get great education. And, you know, I still faltered through my entire 20s, having no idea what to do.
Yes.
And I told you guys earlier, I was working at a grocery store as a customer service for a long time. Just no career, no plans, no way to repay the debt of all that education.
But so here's the deal, though, you know, like, you can have all the education, and I'm just going to say this, like, I'm just going to call it out what it is, because I've been around people, we've all been around people that have a lot of degrees. Some people have 2 PhDs, some people have this. I am not knocking it, especially PhD is really, really challenging, because you have to put up with a lot of bullshit from the people that are running the program. And there's a lot of ass kissing. And even my professional degree, it was just sort of school. That's all it was. It was just, I didn't have to kiss any ass. I just had to just do well, you know, and pass things. But education does not make a person smarter.
No.
And I've met a lot of really stupid, well-educated people. And at the same token, I've met a lot of incredibly insightful and knowledgeable people they just got out of high school. Like they only have a diploma. And I've seen business people, look, I have all this education, but I was not good at business, and I'm still challenged by that. I'm still learning because I didn't learn how to run a business, and I also was so insecure that I also didn't take the chances necessary to be an entrepreneur, like really step into it. Yet I've seen people come right out of high school and just start these businesses, and they're freaking making millions, or even less than that, hundreds of thousands, six figures. But they're doing so well because they just have it within them. And then what they don't know, they'll learn, they'll take courses. And the thing is, there's no letter designation for that. There's no letter designation for, I took a class here, I took a class there. And when we look for the letters, we look for, well, what's your degree? And you have the life experience. We have to be able to put some sort of designation on that. Like we have to say, I went to life school. Now there is a school called Life University in Georgia, but so we want to make sure you want to separate that. But I went to life school, and this is I got my degree in this. I got my degree in understanding bullshit. I got my degree in understanding how to connect with people, how to work with people, how to work hard, like all these things. And
well, I would say that nobody has ever asked me for my credentials. I don't have marketing credentials. I learned marketing from the internet, which thank God for the internet. That was not something that was accessible. Now it's like, I want to learn something, I go to YouTube. It's amazing.
It is.
Yes. Nobody cares that I don't have a degree in marketing. They care that I get results.
Yes.
They want to look at what have I done, look at the work. And there's some advantages to not having a degree in marketing because I come at it in a new way. I have fresh ideas. I have a new way of looking at things. So yeah, no one is looking for it, at least in my field. I don't know.
And look at what Erica wrote. People need to expand their definition of education. Training in a subject doesn't always mean someone is educated. Education comes in many forms. And this is Erica, who is a college graduate and is excellent at what she does. But you know what? She's also dealt with hands-on life training of pain, of sorrow, of darkness. And I think, you know what? I think everybody should be happy where they're at. If you have a degree, a PhD, a doctorate, or whatever, and you have white smoke coming out your ass, don't make anyone feel less than. And I think that's what the topic is, an education.
I think if you have white smoke coming out of your ass, though, you probably should see a doctor.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I'm just saying.
And so I think that's what it is. And Erica, you're right. Education comes in many forms. And sometimes in my experience, I have been in a room of educated individuals and my spirit has always been uneasy. The energy amongst those people is just never settled right with me. But then you can go in a mom and pop celebration, and it's like they see you. You don't know. I've crashed many parties. They see you. They're like, hey, come here.
I can see that. I have.
Even weddings. So and they welcome you. And all the joke with us is we can crash any party, and they're like, "Who are you?" "Oh, we're Maria's niece." "Who doesn't have a Maria in their Latin?" Right? Or I'm Maria's neighbor's daughter, whatever. God. "Oh, come in, Ben. Call me." I'm here. They look. They see you.
I love it.
And that reminds me of when I was in college. I was an English major with the emphasis in poetry. And I really avoided hanging out with the other English majors. I preferred hanging out with the computer science majors. And it was because of that pretentiousness in the English department. I think because it's such a subjective thing that people are really terrified of not appearing the smartest and the best, and so they're really putting on a lot of airs. They're trying to prove how smart they are all the time.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting, and it makes you feel bad about yourself because you don't have whatever they're trying to say is the thing to have. So I was like preferring to hang out with people who are just like, yeah, this is the thing I like to do.
And that's it. And be real with it. Like you say the English major department, and immediately I'm seeing somebody in a silk Hugh Hefner robe with that scarf rolled up over here, walking around like this because, you know, they created Romeo and Juliet.
I see him in a suit with a beard and glasses and just like, but the nose in the air. Now, again, we can't also say write off people and say, well, they have advanced degrees, they must be assholes, they're arrogant, they're this or that. I have met some incredibly down to earth people, and I think that's what it comes down to. I think that when you have an education, it's there's nothing wrong with telling people you have the education. You know, like I know I use the doctor here and there, like I use it on Clubhouse. Why do I use it on Clubhouse? Because it sets a tone, and especially for what I'm trying to achieve with people, because of my what I'm talking about narcissistic toxic relationships and abuse syndrome and coaching. But I'm also really quick to tell them I'm not a therapist. Like the doctor's not a therapist for that. It's that I'm a coach and that my background is in chiropractic wellness. So, but there's nothing wrong with that. You should be proud. If you spent the money, took the time on the education, you'd be proud. And it took me a long time to actually be okay with that. I actually didn't like to show it. And that's not right either. You know, it's like, I should be proud. I worked hard for that, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't define me. All it does is say that I probably know certain things more than maybe the average person on certain subjects. And I have found that's not even always the case, because I have met so many people in wellness, the wellness industry, that are coaches that have no degree whatsoever. They have just their certification, but they have done so much research and they are better at their wellness job than I am. And so guess what I do? Bye-bye. I refer them because I don't really choose to go in that direction. I did for a little bit. I'm like, well, I'm going to do some weight loss stuff and wellness stuff, but actually doesn't suit me. What suits me is focusing on narcissistic relationships, toxic abuse, you know, recovery, that kind of stuff. And where did I learn all that? I didn't learn that in school. I learned that living and being around narcissists, marrying them, being friends with them, being related to them. So my life school, it was a complete like 30, it was actually it's still ongoing. It's a 52-year program, you know? And so, and then the extra research that I do from reading, you know, books, articles, watching YouTube videos, and just taking notes and learning more, to the point where I can hold my own with somebody who's an actual therapist. And they sometimes don't even know what I know. I listen to them and I'll be like, actually, you could go a little bit deeper than that. Or that's actually not correct. I'm not going to call them out on it, but that's what I'm saying. It's like everything that I do now really has little to do with my actual education.
Yeah.
And I'm done speaking. Go
do so many different things and pick up different skills along the way. And yeah, definitely. I was in one abusive relationship in my life, and it was incredibly eye-opening because I had been so sheltered, and having that happen to me was like, I felt like I was out of body experience watching this. Like, are you serious?
Yes.
You treat people like this? And I could finally understand how people get trapped in those situations, especially people who don't have as many resources as I have, you know, and the loving family that I had to come and rescue me when I got in over my head. And like, that changed me as a person. It made me more empathetic and just understand more about what people are dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, you know, when you reach your highest education in life, I think it is when you understand what it is to be kind and to give without expecting anything in return.
I agree.
To have that foundation built on respect, whether you know me or not, whether you like me or not, but that the respect is there, because everything, kindness, the gratitude, the humbleness, the respect, the acknowledgement that we're giving out is everything we want in return. But because I'm a sacred healer, you got to believe. You got to believe. I had this conversation with my son on the airport yesterday that there is something bigger than you. There is a higher power, regardless of what name you want to give. It is my God. It's Yahweh. It's Jah. Elohim, El Shaddai, whatever. That's what I believe in. And my son, he's always giving me. He's always on the opposite side of the spectrum with me on that. He doesn't believe that there's a God. He doesn't believe this, but he loves for me to pray for him. So, but there's some people that you have to put out the crumbs, right? The seeds, plant those seeds and hope that they'll grow with him yearning to want to know, right? But while you're waiting for those seeds to take place in that darkness, you must give without any expectations what you yourself want to receive. And when that happens, then you know what? You're not losing out. You're not giving away. You're not cheating yourself. You're giving to what? So today, if I give Caroline the shirt off my back, because I chose to do that, and she goes on in the world and I never see her again, do you know how many people will say, I did this for Carolyn, you believe she never, and I need now? No, what you do with that life education that you've endured is, I gave Carolyn the shirt off my back today because she was cold and I had an extra one.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
5-10 years down the road, when my ass is sitting next to a dumpster, Carolyn's not going to come, but the divine is going to send me a blessing. And that's how life is, right? It's a give and take. And you give and you get. What you give, you get. There's a thing, lo que siembra, tu cosecha. What you will reap what you sow. And I think the best education in life is that Carolyn grew up the way she grew up, and she could have went and did everything. She could have hung out with the stuffy Hugh Hefner robe aristocrats. She chose to go with the nerds because that's where her spirit guided her, because it was already forming her to be who she is today, speaking to us and doing what she does. When we interrupt that flow, we fuck ourselves. And then we wonder why life isn't as good to us as it is for someone else, right?
And when you encounter those people who are pretentious, who make you feel like you're lesser because you're not as educated, I encourage you to stay confident with yourself and to think about how insecure those people are.
Oh yeah, to behave
all
that
of
way.
that bluster, it's hiding a really, really deep self-hatred.
Yes.
A lot of times.
Well, would you both agree? So education gives you knowledge, whereas life gives you wisdom. And I think that's the biggest difference. I think that if we could somehow show, in some sort of documentation, we don't even have to, but you know what I mean? It's like, okay, so you have a doctorate, so you have a master's, so you have a bachelor's degree, associates, whatever. That is knowledge that you've gained. And if you've gained it at all, because you could have, I gotta tell you, I went through 4 years of college. And I don't remember squat from college. Like, I really don't, I remember chiropractic school, but I don't remember college too much. Of course, it was a long time ago. But did I gain knowledge? I gained certain things. There were certain pieces that I do remember. I'm only kidding. And there's certain things that I do remember from college that were very insightful to me. Like, I'll give you an example of this. And to me, this was worth the price of the degree. I had an English teacher who, you have to take your mod classes, you have to take your whatever your core stuff, and he was giving out books. It was American literature, part 1, or it might have been part 2. Who the hell knows? But whatever it was, the guy was fabulous. He was a younger guy, and he had us write down like what our interests were, blah blah blah. And instead of assigning books like you were in high school where you had to read this stuff, right? He just assigned books that he thought would be good for us to read, that we would like, and then we would write about it. And that's when, based on what I wrote, I would love to find that paper. I would love to see what I wrote. he assigned me a Leo Buscaglia book. And I don't know if anybody of you know who Leo Buscaglia is, but Leo Buscaglia was really big in the 70s and early 80s because he used to talk about love. And he actually had a class at UCLA on love, and it was always filled. Like it was so filled, it had a waiting list, right? And he was very, throwback from the like hippie throwback and all this stuff, but his books are really, really good. He has several. And I remember reading this first book and I said, oh my God, this is fabulous. Like I connected with that book, and I was so happy that this teacher took the time to ask us this questionnaire, because that's what I remember from school. And then when we did another book, he gave me another Leo Buscaglia book to read. He goes, I think you'll like this one too. I think he also read them so that he was, inclined to know which ones to suggest. But that truly, though, did help me become the person that I am today, because I think back to those books. In fact, I went back and bought them, like years later, like I did about 10 years ago. And I went back and bought the books, and I bought a couple more of his, and I reread them. And I was thinking, gosh, this really did set me into motion. And so for me, that was wisdom. That wasn't an education, like knowledge that I gained from being there. That was wisdom that I took with me. Wisdom is also, not getting too drunk when, you're out partying with people and then lose your friends and some other guy brings you home. I mean, that was also wisdom that I learned during college, So that wasn't part of my education process, but it is part of the education process. It's the life.
For me, college was incredible for developing my social skills.
Yeah.
I already knew how to study. I already knew how to read. I was a withdrawn, socially awkward bookworm. And then I chose to go to college 7 hours away from home. And it wasn't until years later that I looked back at it and realized how scary that must have been for my parents to just drop me off somewhere and leave. And I had no social skills at all. But I learned, because you don't have a choice.
And you know what? They learned too, because they learned to trust in the process. That is scary. I'm learning that as I go. I have an 18-year-old that had she got her license late. She opted to do a gap year, so she's not going to school. But when she goes out and says, "Oh, Mom, can I take the car? I'm just gonna go out here." I don't know where she's going, but she's 18, and I think about it, I'm like, you got to trust in the process. You got to trust that she knows what she's doing. She's going here. She was terrified of the highway. She's finally gotten onto the highway. So for your parents to do that, not only was it a learning experience for you, but it was a learning experience for them to say, okay, I'm not okay with her going 7 hours away. And I know that they probably knew the struggles you had socially, but they believed in your abilities. And that's the other education. It's the education that you get from the support of the other people in your life as well. And sometimes the lack of support. If you get a parent or a friend or family member that also is giving you crap, you're learning to say, this doesn't make me feel good. I don't want to be that type of person either. I mean, again, from the narcissistic relationships I had, they're assholes. I mean, that's the bottom line there. And I choose not to be an asshole. Can I be an asshole sometimes? Absolutely. I can be. Ask my children.
It depends on the mood for me.
What'd you say, honey?
Depends on the mood.
Depends on, though, for me?
My mood. No, and like with me too. It depends on the mood. My kids are 35 and 30. They'll be 36 and 32, and they'll still annoy me, or I'll annoy them.
But you are not living your life that way, though. Like you're choosing, though, not to be that way all the time. You're saying, I can be at certain situations, but you're not a day-to-day one. That's what I'm saying. So you've learned, because you've had experiences, your life experiences, for what you've gone through. You've made decisions based on that. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to live my life that way. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then from there, you decided to learn things that you didn't know, whether it was from formal schooling or from YouTube or whatever, so that you can be a better person. And I think that's what the real thing is here, is your education level. We're all brilliant. We all have doctorates in life school. In our school, the school of life. We are all absolutely skilled professionals who are specializing in our life and that we have to be open to the fact that we continuously learn. You know, if you don't want to learn anymore, then you have just cut yourself off, and that's not a good situation when you say, I've learned all I can learn. Wow, that's amazing.
But you know what, Caroline, don't you agree? A lot of people live off fear, anxiety. Oh, that's too much. They get overwhelmed. Then they'll start it a little, then they'll back off, and then they'll go for it. That's why you got to give people your thing. Now, I wanted to ask you, when did you become that entrepreneur with your marketing? Did it happen overnight?
My late 30s. The journey that I went through, I was, like I said, in my 20s, had no idea what to do, and I was doing all these kind of entry-level positions with no room for growth. And my mind needs something to chew on. So I would learn how to do everything, and then I'd get bored, and then that was the end. I couldn't stick with it because I always have to have something new that I'm learning. And so I would try this job and that job and this job and that job. And my father, he's a scientist, and he's only worked for 2 companies his entire life. He's been a research scientist for 50 years.
Wow.
So, you know, he's always supportive of me, but he's thinking in terms of like, you need to find a career path, you know? And I thought, well, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, clearly this work thing, I'm not cut out for that. I'm going to get married and have babies, and I'm going to be so good at that, and that's going to make me feel fulfilled. Like, that's what my calling is. And you guys probably can guess where the rest of that story goes. I got married when I was 30. I had my first baby when I was 34, and I was not good at being a stay-at-home mom. It is so much harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, you're never off duty. It's a 24/7
try
job.
to tell you that it's hard, and you're like, yeah, okay, but it's going to be okay for me. Like, I'm going to be good at it.
I don't know me.
I love it.
This. Yeah, girl. That wasn't my favorite job either. I went to work in a quick, fast, and a hurry.
And it was devastating because I was really counting on that being the thing. I was like, I wouldn't want to be a working mom. Of course I want to stay home with my kids. So that, you know, I had to shift my sense of identity so fast, and I was just really lost. I love my kids, obviously, and I wouldn't trade being their mother, but the day-to-day stay-at-home mom stuff, I'm bad at it. And I watch these other women who are much better at it than I am, and I feel so envious.
Yeah.
But I got involved in direct sales, network marketing, and I felt like a total cliche because that's what stay-at-home moms do. And I felt embarrassed and self-conscious that I fell into this thing that is for stay-at-home moms to make money on the side. And I don't want to knock it. It was an interesting experience, and it wasn't a bad
education, more education. Yep.
And it led me to realizing how much I liked marketing. I didn't love selling a product, but I loved what I was learning about sales funnels. And to me, they instantly just made sense. And I thought, yeah, that's because they're easy. Anybody can do that. So, you know, I wasn't giving myself credit until a friend in a different direct sales company told me that they didn't make sense to her, and she didn't understand how she was supposed to connect like her Instagram to her Facebook to her email list and how that was growing her business. And it was such a light bulb because at that moment I thought, do I actually have a talent for something? I was like 36 years old, and that was the first time I ever felt like I was good at something.
Oh, wow.
And so I really dove into that, learning, learning free online and reading everything I could get my hands on about digital marketing. And then I did some internships, and then I started working with clients. And I'm most proud of one of my early clients is someone who's been in marketing for 30 years. and he has become my business coach and is helping me to like go out on my own. And the fact that he believes in me just gives me so much confidence.
Yeah, great. It helps.
Yeah.
It makes a difference when you have a mentor, when somebody that is saying to you, you've got this, you could, and they're not BSing. They're not saying that because you're paying them,
And I
and they
know
want
that
you to keep coming.
he knows the world. He knows what marketing is all about, and he sees in me that ability to do well at it. So it's really
That's good.
great. And the
Congratulations.
amount
We're
of
very happy for
confidence,
you.
like I'm growing my business on confidence alone.
And
And
that's
I
all you
love
need.
working. Like I never thought in a million years that I would be that person that can't stop working. And I'm like, oh, it's the weekend. Do you think I could get like 5 more hours in, please?
Yeah. So and see, that right there shows you that you're right where you need to be, because that's when you know you're loving what you're doing, is when you're working and working and you're like, granted, we need to break and we need that stuff. But when you're like, oh, well, I just want to keep going like another hour, and it's like 9 o'clock at night.
And
And
I wake up every morning like I can't wait to get
I
to
love
it.
it. Because here's the thing with education. There's an expectation. There's the idea that this is the way you do it, and boy, have things changed, right? So, and this is how I was brought up. I'm a Gen Xer, so it's like I was brought up in a very middle class family, and this is the way you do it. You go to school, you graduate high school, you go to college, you get a job, and maybe you continue on to a master's or beyond. That this was we're talking in the 80s. Now they do say go on to your master's, go on to whatever. But there was no other option. Like my parents never ever put out to me, and I'm not blaming them. This is just they knew what they knew. They did not go to college. Actually, my dad did eventually when he was an adult, got his associate's degree. But for them, their idea was you go to work, you get your degree, you go to work, you get a job, you're there for a long time, you get a pension, and then you retire, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Never ever said, you could have your own business, or you could work full time and then go to school part time. Like they never presented any other options, because for them, that was the right way that it had to be done. And, when I became the mom and my kid was ready to go, that I presented her with options, because I didn't, especially now, you can't fool around in college with how expensive it is. And so, and I knew she wasn't mentally and emotionally ready, because she just wasn't. She's a little bit behind in that sense. Her biological age is not matching her brain age, and so I knew she wasn't ready for it. So what I keep saying to her is, I want to train you to be an entrepreneur. And she's like, and then the funny part is she fights it. She's like, well, why? Like, what do I said, listen, you don't have to be an entrepreneur for your whole life. What I'm saying to you is that if you decide to go to school, you could have a nice little side hustle while you're going to school, and nobody has to, tell you you do your job and that's it. You get your own, and like, we figure it out, we help you sell something or do a service, rather than getting a job outside of school. That's also an option, but then you have to balance going to work, doing that job, and then doing your schoolwork. And I teach this all the time. I have interns that work for me, and I will say to them, I'm helping you I want you to create a side hustle, so when you go to college, you do this, because it's it's great for them to be able to think that way, to know that anything is possible. If I don't like what I'm doing now, I can change it. And if I felt the need, how many people have stories of, I dropped out of college? I was going to college and I dropped out of college and I started my own business, and within 2 years they're millionaires, because that was their education. Their education was, I went to college, it wasn't working for me. So that's the degree I got. And for most, once they left, people would say, "Oh God, they never got their degree. They never finished
Well,
school.
because
What are they going to do?"
they believed in themselves. And I
Yeah,
think that's all you need. All you need is that self-trust that you see se puede, that you can do it. And we confuse it with so many words, with so many this, and you're right. We were raised very poor, but we were raised to be whatever it is we wanted to be. That there is not anything we cannot acquire. There is not anything that we cannot do
that's
unless
right.
we want it. And I was so happy for that. So I've been many things in many seasons of my life. Some I still do, some I don't, because that was for that season. But it's the strength and the endurance that I've learned and gained and continue to have through every one of those seasons. And I think that's what we need to do moving forward. I think that today, Carolyn and the Badass Buddha, you have spent money in education and you're doing something different from what you were educated in. It's okay. It's not a loss. It was just an investment. And you're right. Today,
not right.
there's
I don't
no
look at it as a
money.
loss.
There's no money for you to be fiddle faddling. Get it right. What you want to do? You're going to go to school or you're not. Figure it out. You know, that's how we got to be with them. Because today they're so damn sensitive. Well, I don't know. And no, you have two choices. Choose one and live with it. And that's it. And
Yes.
that's how I raise my kids. And that's it. You know,
And you could change your mind. There's nothing wrong with changing your mind.
There's no fuckery going on right now. Not when it's going to include a debt and it's going to confuse you the fuck more. And then now I got to sit here and untangle that ball of yarn that you created because you can't make a decision.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we got to be very forward with life. We have to just, you know what, grab the bull by the horns and love your children enough to trust in them and have them realize you're trusting in them and saying, what do you want to do? Write 3 things down, bring it to me, we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
And that's how we move forward.
And it can be scary. I mean, the entrepreneur life is, especially if you're looking at it from the outside, it's like, where's the security? Where's the health insurance? It's
like falling in love. And we still do
paycheck. It's scary. And it's scary for parents to watch you and say, okay, I did. But if, you know, my mom would say, wouldn't it be easier to just get a job? And I say, have you not watched me for the last 15 years trying to just get a job?
Yeah. Yep.
It's not easy for me. I don't know why, but it's not.
Yeah, and it can't. And I, you know, and Badass Buddha and I had many discussions because of the way that I'm bi, and I'm bi. I am biracial, bicultural, and at times, most definitely bipolar. But you would always get the honesty from me. My kids are who they are today because I didn't play. There's no room for sensitivity. We grew up in the school of hard knocks. We grew up in the worst housing projects here from an Italian mother and a dark-skinned Puerto Rican father. There was no time to play. There was time to make mistakes, to fall and rise, knowing how not to fall as hard the next time. Not how not to fall, but not to fall that hard. And then you grow. So there's many things that I do even today with my grandkids that parents are not doing with their kids. I think the world has grown too sensitive. I think we're too cautious and too careful. We played with dirt. We went outside in the snow with socks as gloves. We survived. You know, the 70s, the 80s, and Madonna's, you know, intro into the 90s. We survived that. Why are we so damn cautious with our kids today? They're too sensitive. They're too, oh, I don't know. Let me think about it. Bitch, get up and do it. Point blank, period. You're going to love me for this. You're going to love me and you're going to get better at it. And that's the best schooling we can give our kids is to teach them nothing. It's granted to them unless they work for it. You know, have a desire, make choices. Make the choices that you're going to live with until you change it up and make another choice because you don't have to stick to the first choice. It's okay to change.
I just want to just see. So Lydia, let me put Lydia's up here. So Lydia Villanueva finished my teaching degree at 47 and kept my job and took on better paying jobs than the evening. Go for it, girls. And then this is beautiful what Kathy wrote. So Kathy, thank you for sharing this. I grew up as a farmer's daughter near a small town in Texas. We're not taught how to live or encouraged to become anything. Senior year, I was asked what I was doing after high school. Even high school didn't encourage us to become anything. And, you know, that is what our job is as badass warrior women, gladiators, however you want to say it. Our job is to encourage younger people to educate themselves on the things that are important to them. Mm-hmm. not say, I sometimes I'm very leery about saying passion and purpose, because sometimes you don't know and they don't understand that. It's just like, listen, what do you really love? What makes you happy? Then educate yourself and learn how to do it. And if that's something that you could potentially make money off of, then consider it. Like if people are gamers and that's all they like to do, then say, look, instead of sitting in your parents' basement and playing, how could you make money? I always love to bring it to this. And we're getting at the end anyway. I think back to all these YouTubers that are making millions.
12-year-old.
When they said to their parents, when they were teens doing these videos, and their parents are like, why are you doing all these? They're like, this is stupid. Or even in their 20s, this is so stupid. Why are you doing this? And they said, because I like to, and I know it's going to, I love doing this, and this is fun and it's exciting and I could make money. And they're like, oh, you can't make money off of this. And they're laughing at the fact that people didn't believe in them, and they're making ridiculous amounts of money. So you have to think of it that way. Your education is based on, number one, what you're going to let in, the information that you're going to let come in. You're going to learn from your mistakes. You're going to learn from other people's mistakes. You just have to have an awareness of it, and just keep thinking of it along these lines, that everything I learn, whether it's formal schooling on my own, self-study, life schooling, though I'm earning degrees as I go.
Yep.
But these are my own degrees. They don't have to be formal. I don't have to have a piece of paper that says, and listen, if you need a piece of paper, then go on to like Word or Google Docs or Canva and make yourself a degree and say, I earned a degree in life. I'm in my 5th year and I learned my degree in life, and then make different ones. I got my degree in dealing with a-holes. I got my degree in this, and hang it on the wall if it makes you feel better, stamp it, get it stamped, get somebody to sign and write off on it and say, yep.
And it also makes me think too of, like you were saying, there's just so many different kinds of jobs out there, and we have a limited way of thinking about it. Like my high school, like you had, Badass Buddha, it's very like, well, next step is you go to college. Next step is you do this. Next step is you do this. You can be anything within those things. And we're like, what is anything? Because we don't even know. There's millions of different types of jobs. And we're stuck with like, well, you could be a doctor. You could be a teacher. Like, and now I find out that there's just millions of jobs doing all kinds of fascinating things. If you stop and talk to people about what do you do for a living, and it's like, oh, I manufacture the doodads on the bottoms of cars. Like, so many fascinating things.
Listen, who would have thought that picking up poop in somebody's yard would be a job? It's a service, right? I pick up my own poop. But there's plenty of people. Now, I'm not talking about my poop. I'm not pooping in the yard. I'm not pooping. My dog poop. Let me make that real clear. So picking up dog poop in the yard, right? That's a service. I was driving one day on the highway, and there goes by a van saying it, like advertising it. And I'm looking at it, and I started laughing. And I said, you know what? Good for freaking you. Could you imagine the person saying to their family and friends, you know what? I'm going to make this a job. I'm going to do this as a service. They'd be like, who the hell is going to pay for you to come in there? And guess what? There's not just one. There's multiple services that do this, right? So obviously there's a need for it. And you're right. There's so many things out there, and you don't have to even put yourself to just one. You could sit there and say, I'm going to pick up poop for a living for now, and then do it for 5 years, and then say, well, I'm done with that. I'm going to move on to this. That's the beauty of it. When you could redefine yourself, and there's nothing knocking about going to get a formal degree. If that is what is in your heart, if it means something to you, listen, my chiropractic school did not at the time back then require a bachelor's degree. It required me to have X amount of hours, which was like 3 years of college and certain prerequisites. I did it. I never finished my degree. Do you know I didn't finish my degree until about 5 years ago? One day I just said, you know what? I'm going to see what it takes for me to just finish that stupid bachelor's degree, because I wanted to, not for any other purpose. I went on, I found this one school I could do online. I needed 4 classes because of all the schooling I went, they needed 4 classes. Did my 4 classes, They sent me my degree. I opened it up. I looked at it. I smiled, put it back in, and put it right back in the safe. And I said to myself, I did that for me. I didn't do that for anybody else. I did it for me because did it mean anything? Because I already had the doctorate. So what did it? Nothing. But I knew I didn't finish it and I just wanted to. Did I want to get any other like formal No, I'm like, no, thanks. I'm good.
And that's beautiful because you did it for you. Caroline did it for her. Caroline studied here. Now she is brilliantly doing marketing because she was in the trenches and she did the groundwork and she solidified that foundation to be where she's at. When we do that for ourselves, there is, and I don't want to say pride because there is such gratitude and honor in self. And then that's what we pour into the clients that we serve.
And I really think you can be successful at anything. And the most important factor is your passion.
That's it.
When you show up with that confidence and love and just believing in yourself and believing in what you do, like success comes.
Yes. Yep.
In all colors, shapes, and sizes. You know, my running joke is I have the shape of the guitar without the chords.
without the strings.
And you know, sin la cuerda. And I think that's what it is. Have that self-trust and believe in what you do and then pour all your energy into it and let it be passionate driven and purpose driven.
Yeah.
And you know, what's yours is yours and no one can take it. And I love this, Caroline. Thank you for your truth and about the mom thing. You know how many people lie? Oh, I love being home with my kids. If it wasn't for and I'm like, shut up. I love my kids. I'll kill for my kids.
Yes, there's a difference.
But I was so happy to drop their asses off at daycare when they were need to go to work. And I had like the greatest baby daddy. And he would get up with them when they were sick and everything. And I would work a full-time job at the phone company. And then I went to college at night. And then or I had 2 jobs, and you know what? And I loved them when I loved them, but I had to be in a way that I wasn't so overwhelmed. Yeah, you know what? They're my kids. I love them, but it don't mean I wanted to spend every waking hour with them. They're like exhausting little fuckers when they were little, right? Now they're exhausting. And
it's the no off switch. Yeah.
And I
earlier badass Buddha that it's like you're never off duty ever.
Never. And for you to have said that, I was like, oh, she's my tribe member. Because to be honest about something like that, where people pretend that no, my kid, no, be honest, because that makes you healthy. When we keep it on
that you're not, but I can jump in front of a train for you, but please don't make me play blocks for
please don't make me be with you another hour. Go to sleep. Sleepy time.
All right. Well, this was fabulous. And thank you for staying on later. And thank you for the tribe members for staying on later. We had some fabulous feedback from all of you, and we really, really appreciate you. So we posted Carolyn's information, and you can directly hit the connect in the chat comments. You can hit the direct thing and you can go right to her, or you could just write it down. And we urge you to reach out to her, especially if you're in your own business or you know somebody's in their own business and they need some marketing. Yeah. Carolyn, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate this. It's been a fabulous conversation.
We figured it out, and I got to the right room after.
You know what? You were supposed
it helps to have the right link. Really does.
I don't know what happened, but I'm really glad we made it work because this was awesome.
Perfect.
You know, Gidget, thank you for coming on. Sugar Perez. And look at Kathy. You know, thank you. You brought a lot out in a lot, and that's what we do. That's what we do. We're magic makers here. We keep it real.
That's right. That's right.
So, how do I get rid of this? Get rid of this. Passion, gratitude, listening. Yeah. Okay.
There you go. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Have a fabulous weekend. And from the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
Yep. Have a wonderful weekend. And remember, breathe in the beauty. And breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.
Namaste.